Yankees 2004 ALCS. Clearly the best two teams. Red Sox beat the Yankees, go on and sweep the Cardinals. It's like those were the two best teams. We've seen it when the Yankees, Red Sox were at their best, or the SEC, like it usually is loaded. We saw it. I remember I covered a series where the Blazers played the Lakers, and that was the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, the famous alley-oop dunk, and the Lakers went on to beat the Pacers. The Blazers would have beaten the Pacers. That was the NBA Finals in the Western Conference. That's what you're watching. Folks, just think about what happened last night. Both teams played 9 guys legitimate minutes, and 18 different players contributed. The coaching, the two best coaches left are both in the West. Coaching sort of matters, right? Look at the quality of that game without Chris Paul and Kawhi Leonard. If you took Trae Young out of Atlanta, if you took Giannis out of Milwaukee tonight, what would that game look like? Like you were missing the two best players. Let's be honest about this. This is not a shot at anybody else, but when Michael Jordan retired, the West has been better than the East every year since. 75 to 80% of the good young players, the Lukas, the Zions, the Ja Morants, the Bookers, they're West. I mean, the Knicks, for God's sake, were a 4 seed in the East. Washington made the playoffs in the East. Steph Curry's the MVP, should have been, maybe wasn't, number 2. They can't get into the playoffs in the West. The All-NBA team has 4 out of 5 guys are from the West. Atlanta does not have an all-star. They made the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, it's not a shot. It's not a shot at the Big Ten to say that some years, the SEC, a lot of years, the two best teams are in the South. It's not a shot at anybody. It's just the reality of it. It's not a shot when the Yankees and the Red Sox in a no-salary cap sport have the best rosters. They're just the two best teams. Now, I still think, let's talk about the game. I still think this is a 6-game series. These are really even teams. The difference is the Suns get Chris Paul back. The Clippers probably don't get Kawhi back. That's the series. I'll take Phoenix. I don't think the Clippers can overcome this team. First of all, that crowd's insane. Phoenix plays with a college intensity. It feels March Madness with pro talent, with dogs. And they don't really have a hole. Even the dynasty for the Warriors, bad bench. The dynasty for the Heatles, no size. They were small. This team is athletic. They're twitchy. They're long. They've got leadership. They've got wings. They've got young players. They've got Jay Crowder. It's one of those things where, and you know what it reminds me of? The only thing they're missing in Phoenix is big game experience. And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. They're a very young team. Well, you're watching it. It does not appear to be a problem. You know what they remind me of? And I'll just throw you a football example because I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I want you to think about this for a second. Remember the Seahawk team, the first championship they won when they crushed Denver? Like the Phoenix Suns, they had no recent history of dominating. The year before, the Seahawks were 6-5 until the end of the year. They got hot, made the playoffs, and then got bounced. They weren't great the year before. And then the next year, you're watching them, and you're like, the hell? That's the fastest defense I've ever seen in my life. The hell am I watching? It doesn't make any... How did they go from good to the best team I've seen in a decade? Why? Because they had this great leader, Russell Wilson, and then all their young players started peaking at the exact same moment and had the right coach and made it work. And your eyes were not lying to you. You were watching that Seahawks. Now, we thought the dynasty would last longer, but for that year, and then the following year, even when they lost the Super Bowl to New England, there was a 2-year period where Seattle, you're like, how did they get this good this fast? It makes no sense. Phoenix last year, at the end of the year, the bubble, you're like, ooh. Then they had Chris Paul, and you're like, okay, I know, come on, they're not going to win the championship. No. All their good young players are peaking at the exact... DeAndre Ayton has become a monster. Devin Booker now is a monster. Mikal Bridges. Then you add in these veteran players. You're not being fooled here. This is not like lightning in a bottle. No. No, the Seahawks were faster than everybody defensively. They were so fast, Bill Belichick, in the Super Bowl in which they beat him, I never forget this game plan. Belichick said, when you catch the ball against the Seahawks, either go down or go forward. Do not try to run outside. All they practice for 2 weeks. Because if you try to run outside, you won't get there, and Seattle will strip the ball from you. They're faster than us. We cannot run with them. Just take 5 yards at a time. Just take the 5 and 6 yard Edelman, catch it, go down. Just get first down. We're not as fast as them. And you have to just acknowledge now with Phoenix, their chemistry's perfect. They have the right coach. All their young players are peaking. They play with an intensity that is almost collegiate because these guys aren't that far out of playing college. They're all like under 24, 25 years old. And they're deep, they're twitchy, they're long, they're athletic, they're confident. And now, the Clippers are very good and very good at overcoming 0-2 deficits. And Paul George talked about that.
If I know this team correctly, the fight we have, going into game 3 and the fight that we have to believe that, we're going to change the series. That's who we've been and that's who we are. And so I'm very confident in our group. And, fact of the matter is they did what they were supposed to. They won their 2 games on their floor. We got to go home and protect our house.
Good luck. I'll take the Suns. But I do think it goes at least 6 games. All right, something can drive me nuts. But my job is to not get too emotional. So what we saw at the end of the game last night, a lot of replays, 5 replays, last 90 seconds. And again, baseball has these constant pitching changes. It slows the game down. NBA games fly by, except for the last couple of minutes of close playoff games. I'm okay with it because they're doing it for a reason. And I want to make something very clear. The replay was created not for the first quarter, not for the second, not for the third. Hell, it wasn't even created for the fourth. It was created to get the call right with 2 minutes left and not screw a team out of a championship. That's why it was created. So this play drove me nuts. But I thought about it. Devin Booker, sideline, Patrick Beverley, ball goes out of bounds. Now, 99% of the time in the season, they give it to the offensive team. Why do they do that? Because when you drive on the freeway, it's 55 miles an hour, you're going 70, and nobody gets a ticket in rush hour. Police, the cities want to keep the traffic moving in rush hour. Let people get home. We're all speeding. Nobody cares. But a school zone, it's only 35 miles an hour. They reduce it, and if you're 3 miles an hour over, it's a $500 ticket. Why? Because that matters more. Those are kids. 35 miles an hour, you're 3 over, it's a $500 ticket. Freeway, you're going 70. Moving it along, let's get home. The NBA, to keep the game fluid and moving and fast, is going to give that to the offensive player. Let's not change possessions. But they go to the replay with a minute left because we're not going to take a championship from a team. It's like the TSA. El Paso to Dallas, that TSA just moves right along. Vegas to LA, I take the flight all the time. Fly through TSA. You fly to London, Tel Aviv, Barcelona, fly abroad, 10-hour flight. You go through customs. That's different. You're going to be in line for 45 minutes to an hour. Those are big boy flights. A lot of bad stuff can happen when you're in the air for 10 hours. TSA was truly created for flights abroad, long flights to intellectual financial hubs. Those are the ones that really clamp down. School zones, now the speed matters. Listen, that drives me nuts. And 99% of the time, yes, we give it to the offensive guy to keep the game going. But it would be kind of ridiculous, right? If you did the replay and it went off Booker and you said, so what? So what? We're going to give it to Phoenix. Well, why did you create the replay? Somebody on my staff went to a Reddit board last night. I tried to stay away from those. It said the ball may have technically went off Booker, but that's not how the game is meant to be played. No, technically, this is why we created replay. So we get the technicalities right very late in games. And I know there's a lot of replays late. But NBA games, unlike baseball, unlike college football, NBA games fly by. But they ask you at the end, we're going to get this stuff right. Because there's shoe deals involved. There's contracts involved. Coaches get fired when they lose these games. You get fired. Rick Carlisle's out of work, lost to Game 7. Probably not if he wins a Game 7. When you're firing coaches, when you're getting shoe deals, when guys' contracts are getting extended based on winning these Game 7s. And that's how the league works. We're going to get it right. And yeah, it drives me nuts. But I'm in the business to observe, take a deep breath, and then deliver an unemotional response. That's what officials are asked to do. That's what replay people are asked to do. They're not fans. Take a deep breath. Get it right. We didn't create these replays for the first quarter. Coaches get fired at the end of games, not in the first quarter. Get it right, they did. All right. I drove Nick Wright crazy. I'll play that later. It drove him crazy. So I want to talk about the alley-oop out of bounds. As